Case study: Smudgy specs for the drama queen. My delightfully acerbic, ouch-smart, and super lovely editor and pal Bronwyn, upon reading my initial rant on Aquarians in this chapter, threatened to burn the entire manuscript of this book and sink both the ashes of it and me to the bottom of the ocean, which of course is so very scorpionic of her. But having grown up within a family of 3 Aquarians, I must say I hold firm on the matter, bewildered as I am by an entire clan so profoundly qualified to expertly navigate and indeed master this tricky little planet, while remaining intent on doing so through such foggy lenses that it would make it impossible for them to back out of a driveway, let alone take on the challenge of being the rightful heirs to a whole new age. And while I smugly sit here, wielding my astute Virgo-ness over all, I hasten to add that no one is simply one thing or the other. And that's the beauty of it all. Us shiny, diamond-esque facets just love to irritate and niggle and nudge and cajole one another, recognizing, as we ultimately do, that we are all reflecting each other back to one another, and taking on major or minor roles from those people we love or hate or ignore, or shining our light back on ourselves through the very objects we place around us. It's curious what people pull into their homes by choice. Objects that either uplift them and the space around them, or bolster areas of themselves best left unsupported, thus energetically undermining the very things they long for. Equally curious are those things that find their way to us. So here I find myself living at the edge of the river on a private island in the middle of the Thames with the lovely but cuckoo for Cocoa Pops Coco, a talented writer, chef, and, yes, Aquarian, whose personality is like that first pop of a kava cork, fresh and filled with the promise of delight and just a bit of naughtiness. You're probably super impressed right now at just how cool my friends' names are. Unfortunately, they're really the same Bobs and Sharons as everyone else, but as they've threatened to kick my butt if I reveal their true identities, if I'm going to make up new names for my friends, they sure as hell ain't going to be Bob or Sharon. Coco's house, and now mine, can be found at the end of a long, narrow walkway with a sign posted at the front door that states, "Caution! Drama Queen just ahead!" To Coco, it was simply a present from her sibling, one historically recognized drama queen acknowledging another by way of a little joke. But such a sign is precisely the kind of red flag we only too often live with, fluttering under our open nostrils, its message undetected by us, dampened as it becomes through familiarity and personal legend. Being averse to the unnecessary distractions of constant conflict, I, upon arriving, subsequently suggested that the drama queen proclamation at the front door might be reinforcing more dramatic behavior than was desirable, so the sign was begrudgingly relegated to the inside of the hall closet. But one can never just shove a gremlin into the dark, especially begrudgingly, and expect it to be silent. Needless to say, the ugly D for drama continued to rumble and mumble from within that closet, generating its energy from under the door jambs and into the whirling whirlwind that was the life of Coco. Despite her intense and very real desire to be a successful writer, that simple drama queen sign was, in essence, one of the most obvious of the many stumbling blocks handpicked by herself, or in this case, herself as her sibling, in order to distract her from her purpose. And so instead of writing, there was the constant battle with the taxman to waylay, and the various blocks that constantly detoured her away from her more immediate money-making ventures as a caterer and chef, resulting in a continuing onslaught of unpaid bills and the ever-shifting tide, like the Thames that surrounded the place, of whimsy from the landlord that left her unsettled and unable to focus. Then there was Coco's policy for welcoming the dramas of others, with open arms under the guise of needing to be generous with her knowledge. Her penchant for fixing things would make the most stable of us woozy-headed, let alone Coco the Aquarian with big visions and no time left to spend on achieving them. "Caution, drama queen just ahead," was not just a joke still hiding in the closet. It was a self-perpetuating reality that somehow had to be disassembled. Because with the dismantling of anything, also comes the dismantling of its energy. Just like the disastrous ghost busting I was engaged in shortly after that, stay tuned for more about that one, which attempted to remove over 80 years, and in my opinion a whole lot more of yucky energy, the putting up and dismantling of things, whether they be objects, beings, or accumulated ick, is fundamental to the restructuring of our very selves. Who we are is an accumulation of what we came wailing and gurgling into the world with, combined with the myths and stories, the decisions and placement of ideas, plus the things that we gather and carry around with us. In the light of the amazing manner in which we are constructed, therefore, there is no such thing as a meaningless object, if that object, whether it be something we bought, been given, or has simply happened, has settled its reality into ours, there being no separation, as we've already established, between its reality and our own awesome godlike existence. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, as we now have opened our eyes to those brilliant indicators that surround us, we often ignore the very things that, if shifted or discarded or changed into something more positively meaningful, would be the very conduits to the gateway of our brilliance. Which is why, instead of looking at the rancid, festering boogers collecting in the corners of our homes and sucking them up with a powerful implement, we tend to look at the biggest object in the room, our partners, husbands, wives, and point at them and say, "You!" thus leading to an expensive and messy divorce, when the cheaper and less exhausting method would be to take responsibility, keep our loved ones, buy a vacuum bag, and get rid of the boogers instead. I'm going to qualify that last statement by adding that sometimes the partner, wife, or husband is the booger we need to get rid of. And that's fine too, and sometimes a fair enough choice, but this choice is your choice, and your choice alone. And like all your choices, you need to examine it and take responsibility for it. If you have really cleaned up all the other gunk under the bed and dripping from your stove vents, and have read and acted on all the signs that are screaming at you from wherever they are seemingly hiding, your husband, wife, or partner may be, just maybe, the last booger you need to clean out. While the more obvious items, such as that sign by your mirror that screams, "fucking ugly," may finally knock their not-so-subtle significances into your noggin, it's the other less obvious stuff that can equally get in the way of what we're trying to create in our worlds. By recognizing just how subtle this shit can be, a whole universe of shape-shifting, bullshit-eliminating fun is opened up to us. It's amazing how us complicated little old souls live on a multitude of levels all at once. The me who knows I'm me, the me who thinks I'm another kind of me, and the me way beyond who looks down at me thinking, kindly I hope, what the frickin' hell is me doing? Befuddled by the endless commotion she'd unwittingly created around her, poor Coco didn't stand a chance of seeing the source of it all, what with the sheer volume of spiderwebs and cobwebs fuzzing most of the corners and ceilings, nooks and crannies of her home, and therefore herself. No wonder her focus had a penchant for drifting off, her thoughts and dreams trapped like flies in a sticky stuckness that would drive anyone, let alone a free-flying aquarium, absolutely teaspoons. On top of it all, looking through her reading spectacles or trying to view the world outside through her dust-choked windows was like moving through the murky bottom of some deeply algae-filled aquarium. Along with the drama she invited into her life, Coco's grimy spectacles, cobwebs, and grubby windows were her unseen warning signs to herself about the smudged and fuzzed pathway to her goals and dreams, a lack of vision stopping her from being able to view, read, and write clearly. Decoding our lives through cleaning is not a chore. It's a magic metaphysical door opening to who we are and what we want. In that practical reshaping of those symbols that mirror the energy around us, we change our spiritual, physical, mental, emotional structure. That can't help but either fill up your tank with cosmic poop or fill it up with the extra special unleaded that enables you to get cranking on the metaphysical and material Autobahn. So without getting paranoid about it, and recognizing that sometimes the very bits and pieces that piss on our parade Or perhaps the much-needed hurdles our super smart higher essences created to build up our cosmic legs in order to leap into awesome? Respectfully evict your unwanted 8-legged freeloaders, polish up your glasses, and shine. And get rid of that stupid sign. It's simply not funny.